FisherOfMen here. I'm making this video for my protection in case something happens to me. Today I reported to my probation officer, or shall I say yesterday on the 16th. And when I went in there, he called my name, and so I got up because there's like a little waiting area. You wait for the probation officer to call your name. I went in and I went to the back room and I smelled weed. And I instantly shrugged it off because I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that's weed. Why would there be weed in here? But I know I smelled weed. I now know I smelled it, and I'll get to that. At that point in time, I shrugged it off, and I thought nothing of it. So my probation officer put me in handcuffs instantly. I'm thinking, he's like, I just want you to know you're not under arrest. Do you understand that? I said, yes. So he put me in handcuffs, and he asked me how I got to the probation office. I told him my sister gave me a ride. Then he asked me, where's your sister at? What kind of truck does she have? Where is she parked? So him and 3 other cops walked with me to my sister's truck. I'm still in handcuffs at this point. And when we get to her truck, he thought maybe I had driven my truck there. Okay, and so he thought I came possibly in my truck and I was by myself. But so he goes up to my sister. He has her step out of the truck, and my sister's like, "Is everything okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna search the vehicle, looking for any contraband, because I'm not allowed to be around guns, knives, machetes, anything like that, alcohol." And I'm the only one there that they did this to. They didn't do this to anybody else that showed up for probation. I was there for about a half hour. I didn't see anybody else have to go through that. And so at this point, after they're done ransacking her truck and go through it, then we walked back to the office. And on the way back, they all stopped and they all went behind me, got in a little circle and whispered something to each other. I don't even know what they said, but it was kind of suspicious to me. So we get back to his office. He gives me a drug test. We talk about a couple things. He goes through my phone for 10 minutes. And I ask him some information, and he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. I asked him about getting an interstate compact, which is permission to travel from one state to the other and get a new probation officer in that state, because I'm trying to leave Vegas. And he said, you have to talk to somebody else about it. I don't want to tell you nothing because you're going to get on YouTube and turn it into a conspiracy theory. I've seen your videos. You're nothing but a conspiracy theorist. Everything's a conspiracy to you. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you're totally brainwashed, man. You probably didn't even watch the videos all the way through. Whatever. I can already tell, just based on his comments about my YouTube channel and about me, that he does not like me. He does not like my YouTube channel. And this guy will violate me in a heartbeat. And so at this point, I smelled the weed. We go back to my sister's truck. We come back. They have a little weird meeting behind me. And get back up, and he tells me a little bit about what he thinks about me and my YouTube channel and blah, blah, blah. And I had a chance to speak to another probation officer there who told me that, basically from what he was telling me, that he doesn't full-heartedly believe in the U.S. Constitution because it was written by man. That basically there's flaws with the Constitution. And that the government would never take away guns. I'm like, well, it happened in New Orleans, bro, where FEMA and Blackwater were doing door-to-door gun confiscation. He really didn't have much to say about that. So anyways, we get back to, he releases me. I go back to my sister's truck, and my sister tells me, I smelled weed in my truck when they all got out and left. And that instantly raised an alarm, because back in the office, I smelled weed. I know what weed smells like, and I smelled pot. I shrugged it off. I didn't think nothing of it, but then when my sister brought it up, I'm like, okay, something here obviously was about to go down. And my sister told me, and she would never say anything like this. She's not the type of person that would say anything like this unless she meant it. She said that she honestly thought they were going to plant drugs in her truck. Had I driven there in my truck, had I been there by myself, they possibly would have planted weed in my truck to get me to violate my probation. And then that little secret meeting they had behind me, that did not look too good. Okay? And on the way back, okay, I forgot to mention this part. When he had me in handcuffs and we're walking back to the office, it's like, yeah, man, I had to do this to make sure I'm not walking into an ambush. Dude, seriously? To make sure you're not going to walk into an ambush? how would I ever anticipate that you're going to put me in handcuffs and walk me to the parking lot where I have an ambush waiting? Dude, come on, dude. I didn't say nothing to him at that point. I'm thinking, yeah, okay. What do you expect me to say, officer? Oh, I totally understand. No. Dude, all this was over a YouTube video to begin with. And I made a video a while back, a video compilation of cops that were busted for planting drugs on people. This is not a conspiracy. These things do happen. Cops do plant drugs on people. It happens. They're just not always caught when they do it and they get away with it. But on a very rare occasion, they are caught busting drugs on people. And I will include a couple videos at the end of this video. Okay, and there's a certain derogatory term for the word homosexual that he told me I can't use. He said, you can't say that word. It's aggressive. Now he's just trying to stifle my free speech. And he told me if I want to use a certain word, basically he's telling me you have to be politically correct. If you're not politically correct, I can take it as an act of a form of aggression and possibly violate your probation. The court told me when he sentenced me to probation, my judge said, Mr. Cuellar, I'm going to allow you to keep your YouTube channel, which great. I wasn't going to terminate my YouTube channel anyways, but great. Thank you for making it easier on me. He said, but you cannot display any weapons in your videos and you cannot threaten people. So me using a certain word is not even threatening anybody. It's just offensive to some people. So basically he's stifling my free speech and threatening to violate my probation simply for practicing freedom of speech and airing my opinions that some people find offensive. Now he told me if you want to be able to use this word in your videos, I don't want him to violate me, but the word that he says I can't use is FAG. If I say that word in the video, he said he's going to possibly violate my probation and take that word as an act of aggression, even though it doesn't violate the stipulations of my probation, which is basically I can't threaten people. So he's basically saying if I use that word, he'll take it as a threat. Either this man is gay or he has gay family members, I don't know. But obviously, he's not a believer in Jesus Christ. Obviously, he's not a God-fearing man. Obviously, okay. Anyways, I'm going to take that to court. I'm going to contact my public defender. I'm going to say, hey, I want to take this before the judge and have the judge court order my probation officer to allow me to say that word. Yes, I'm going to do that. And he told me I can't talk to my wife. There's reasons for that. My wife is fighting a case right now, a felony case. Believe me, it's bogus charges, and her parents are involved, but I'm not going to get into that. So I had to go to court for two different reasons. One, to get permission, special permission from a judge to be able to talk to my wife, and number two, to be able to. I had to go to court and ask the judge to basically give me permission or put it in stone that I am allowed to use the word FAG. Yes, this is a big deal for me because that word is more direct, more blunt, and I'm not going to sugarcoat the truth. They are what they are. Okay? I'm not going to be politically correct. That's not what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is here to protect the unpopular opinions. And if that word accurately describes and fits my opinions, I'm going to use that word. And for him to say he's going to violate me for that, he's violating my freedom of speech, is what he's doing. Me saying that is not a crime. Okay? It's not something I can get charged with on the streets. Oh, you said the word FAG, call the popo. No. So with that being said, Officer O'Keefe, you'll see me in court, because he told me if I actually take that to court, which I'm going to call my public defender, have her put me on the calendar for a court session just to see Judge Richard Scotty, and actually he's going to say, well, Mr. Cuellar, I see that you're here today because you need special permission to be able to use the word FAG. Well, it's freedom of speech. I'm not going to stop him from being able to use that. It doesn't violate. And he said that he's going to be there to laugh at my face when the judge strikes him down. But hopefully, I'll be there to laugh in his face when the judge says, yes, Mr. Quaylaw, you can say that word in your videos. So we'll see what happens. And and with that being said, look, if they try to say that, if they violate me for having weed or contraband, just know, guys, it was planted evidence. They planted evidence to get me to violate my probation and to get me away from my YouTube channel. This guy obviously doesn't like my YouTube channel, obviously doesn't like what I stand for. Especially the detective in my case has been on the force for 20 years. So chances are he knows my probation officer. They probably have drinks at the bar every now and then. They probably they play golf from time to time. Who knows? But if something happens where I wind up back in jail because they say I was caught with contraband, they planted that fake evidence on me. Because I'm not going to do anything to give them any reasons to put me back in jail. Okay, I'm going to do everything by the rule book. And with that being said, I made this video for my protection. So in case, if I wind up back in jail, I'm going to call Aaron and Rudy from the YouTube channel Lone Star 1776. I'm going to let them know what happened. They're going to record my jail phone call and put it on my YouTube channel. So everybody knows that the government, that my probation officer conspired to plant fake evidence on me to get me to violate my probation. And again, these things do happen. It's not a conspiracy theory. Cops do break the law all the time. When you're a police officer, you have even more incentive to break the law because you can break it and get away with it. Cops are more likely to break the law than your average citizen who's not a cop, simply because they have a badge and a gun. Okay, so they can get away with a lot more and not be held accountable for it, especially planting fake evidence on people. So here is a few cases of people being planted with fake evidence. Fisher of Men, you have a nice night.
That dash cam video helped provide a Bloomfield, New Jersey man's innocence. It's a story we first broke at 7 Online.
This 30-year-old faced a number of charges, including eluding police and assault. Investigative reporter Sarah Wallace obtained the dash cam tapes, and she spoke exclusively with him. Sarah?
Well, Diana and Sade, quite a turnabout. All of the criminal charges against Marcus Jeter have been dismissed. 2 Bloomfield cops have now been indicted. A third quietly pleaded guilty to tampering and retired. It's all because of video the cops may have tried to hide.
Get out the car! Get out!
This is the Bloomfield Police Department's dash cam video that prosecutors say they never saw when they pursued criminal charges against 30-year-old Marcus Jeter. Notice his hands in the air. He was charged with eluding police, resisting arrest, and assault. And also notice who throws repeated punches.
If the tape hadn't surfaced,
I was going to be doing jail.
The incident began when cops were called to the Bloomfield home Jeter shares with his girlfriend. No charges were filed, and Jeter says he left after briefly talking to officers.
they say you were eluding them.
When they were behind me with the lights on, I pulled right over, you know.
So you weren't trying to escape?
No, I wasn't trying to escape.
In a video from the first police car, prosecutors did see Jeter stops on the side of the Garden State Parkway. The cops pull out guns.
Why didn't you just get out of the car?
Because I was afraid. There was a cop on my left with a gun pointed at me, and there was one on my right side with a shotgun pointed. I'm afraid that I might get shot.
If you got out?
Mm-hmm.
The tape not initially turned over is on the dash of a second police car that comes from the opposite direction, crosses the median into ongoing traffic, and then strikes Jeter's car. There is no mention of that in any police report. When Jeter first told his attorney that part of the story,
it was incredible. I didn't believe his story at that particular point in time.
So you finally believed him then?
Yes.
The next thing I know, as he's coming around the car, the glass gets busted, and all the glass goes in my face.
Get out the car!
Your hands are up.
My hands are up. As soon as he opened the door, one of the officers reached in and just punched me in my face. As he's trying to take the seatbelt off, he's elbowed me in my jaw. And I'm like, ah! And he's like, stop trying to take my gun.
Don't go for my gun!
Stop resisting arrest. Stop trying to take my gun. And as he's saying that, I just knew, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, okay, this is gonna go wrong.
Go for my gun! Get down! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Why are you trying to get my gun? Get off my gun!
And right before when they opened the door about to put me in, the officer hits me in the back of the head again.
As soon as prosecutors saw this video, they dismissed all of the charges against Jeter. Interesting to note, an investigation by Bloomfield PD's scandal-plagued Internal Affairs Division had found no wrongdoing by police officers.
The blame is with the Bloomfield Police Department not providing that tape. If we hadn't had the tapes in this particular case, an innocent man would be in jail today.
I'm sure that if this happened to me, it could happen to a bunch of other people, you know.
Scary, right?
It's a scary situation.
Last week we showed you difficult to watch video of Floyd Dent being pulled from his car by police officer William Melendez and beaten. And since we found that video, we found another. The plot thickens. First, in case you did not see that original, the beating of Floyd Dent, here is that film. No, this guy.
Okay, so this is them dragging Floyd Dent out.
Yeah.
The judge later threw out almost all the charges because it was obvious that they dragged him out of his car. He posed no threat. He had no weapons.
And almost instantaneously began beating him and tasing him.
And put him in a chokehold, 16 punches to the head. 3 times they used a stun gun on him. And he didn't resist except for trying to cover his face as they were punching him in the head repeatedly. So now the one charge that the judge had not thrown out was the drug charge because it looked like they had found drugs in the car.
Yeah.
Now, we found out that the officer involved here had been accused in the past and brought to trial for planting drugs. Mm-hmm. So the lawyer at the time had said, well, there's actually evidence from this video where he's taking out the drugs out of his own clothes and getting ready to plant it. Well, now we have that video. Yeah. So let's show you that. So you're about to see Officer Melendez, and there's going to be a spotlight on it as well. He very casually takes it out of his clothes. There it is. That's a baggie I'm going to plant later. I've forgotten entirely that there's dash cam video of all this. Oops. Whoops. And it appears that that is the bag they find later that Dent theoretically was using.
And he's thinking, wait, we didn't disable that dash cam?
Their own dash cam camera was rolling when Cookeville police caught up with a man who was wanted on a domestic assault warrant. According to this federal lawsuit, Carlos Farrell's ex-wife, Tiffany, called police when she spotted him. She was there, standing in the background, when police officer Chris Melton ordered Farrell out of his car.
Put your hands up and get out of the car.
Mr. Farrell gets out of the car, obviously hands raised.
Ben Winters and attorney Blair Durham are representing Farrell. They say police used excessive force in June of last year when they arrested the 28-year-old. In the video, a police canine being held by Officer Jeff Johnson bites what appears to be a compliant Carlos Farrell.
Your dog just ate my leg off.
One of the officers that has control of the dog allows the dog to attack Mr. Farrell even after he's on the ground.
The attorneys also accused Cookeville police officer Chris Melton of planting drugs on their client.
Now the cops leave. Here's the hand signal.
Officer Melton searches Farrell's pockets at least a half-dozen times. Then, Durham says, another officer appears to give a signal with his hand. Melton reaches into his own right pocket, looks into the camera, and Durham says that's when Melton puts a bag of marijuana into Farrell's pocket.
Whoa, Carlos! That's bad, dude. Little weed, bro. Now you got another freaking charge. How about that?
5 Cookeville police officers are named in the suit. Melton is on administrative leave with pay.
If they can tell each other to plant drugs with just a hand gesture, just doing that, you've got to wonder how many other people have gone through this.
But now, right now, we want to bring you a local story that is making news right now. 3 Schaumburg police officers accused of stealing from drug dealers to sell drugs themselves.
Authorities called this a dark day for law enforcement. Joni Lawmy is live at the courthouse in Wheaton with more. Joni.
Hello, Corey and Anna. $750,000 cash bond means these officers will remain in custody. A drug dealer turned police informant tipped law enforcement to this. They went to investigate on January 2nd. In about 2 weeks, they say that they saw these police officers do about 5 drug deals, and at least one of them they recorded the audio and video of the criminal activity. Drug enforcement agents arrested the officers, 30-year-old John Seachy, 29-year-old Matthew Hudak, and 47-year-old Terry O'Brien and O'Brien's girlfriend, who allegedly kept the drugs for them. Agents served 20 warrants searching the Schaumburg police station, the officers' vehicles, lockers, and homes. Prosecutors say they used police vehicles and wore their gear while trafficking drugs. Investigators say that this all started as a routine drug sting that turned sinister.
When law enforcement became aware that this was going on, we moved swiftly to get these officers off the street and gather evidence that resulted in today's charges.
And unfortunately, in this particular case, we had to take 3 police officers who were sworn to uphold public safety off the street. From my point of view, I'm battling the Mexican cartels, 100,000 street gang members in Chicago, and now I got to worry about this.
All 3 officers reportedly made statements when they were arrested. Hudak allegedly said, "You got me." O'Brien said he didn't do it for the money. He did it for the thrill of it, according to law enforcement. And Seachy held his head in his hands, and he appeared to be sobbing during this bond hearing. If convicted, these officers could face 40 years, up to 40 years in prison.